parents forgot my birthday again and said, "We thought you didn't care." So I didn't say a word, just canceled their cruise tickets. 2 hours later, they were screaming on the phone. So I didn't say a word. Just canceled their cruise tickets. You'd think that moment, the second I clicked the cancel booking button, would have felt explosive. Like fireworks behind my eyes. But it was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that's been building for decades, one forgotten birthday at a time. I was born on a cold January day, a Wednesday, if I remember right. I only know that because I checked once as a kid, hoping maybe the weekday made it special. It didn't. By the time I hit 30, I'd stopped expecting anything. No balloons, no calls, not even a text. My siblings, though? Lavish dinners. Surprise parties. Thoughtful gifts. Emily got a designer purse and spa weekend last year. Nathan had a backyard barbecue bash with over 40 people. And me? I got silence. Again. This year, I had planned to be different, not in the lower your expectations kind of way, but in the maybe this time they'll see kind of way. Because this year, I'd done something big. Months earlier, I overheard Mom and Dad reminiscing about a cruise they had wanted to take since they were newlyweds. They talk about it like a dream too far out of reach: Mediterranean coastlines, sun-soaked decks, the freedom of being far from land. They had no idea I was listening. I wrote down every detail. Every ship name. Every destination. I did the research, mapped the dates, paid in full with my own money. I even upgraded their room to one with a balcony. I wanted to surprise them. Not for my birthday. For theirs. For their anniversary. For everything they'd forgotten, I was going to remember. But then my birthday came around. And once again they forgot. It started the same way every year, quiet. I told myself it didn't matter. That I didn't need validation or a message from two people who barely remembered I existed outside the family group chat. But this year, there was no message. Not even the generic "hope you're doing well" type. No emoji-filled Facebook post. No call from Mom asking how my day was. Not a word. I let the morning pass. Then the afternoon. By 8 p.m., the last bit of hope I pretended not to have finally died. Still, I gave them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they forgot, but maybe they'd remember tomorrow and feel awful. Maybe they'd try to make it right. So I called. "Hey," I said when Mom picked up. "Oh, hi, sweetie." Her voice was light, casual. Too casual. "Everything okay?" "Yeah, just wanted to check in." We made small talk for 2 minutes. She talked about Nathan's new promotion, Emily's puppy. Then silence. "You forget what day it is?" I finally asked. There was a pause. Then she laughed, like I was being silly. "We thought you didn't care about birthdays, honey. You never make a fuss." "I don't make a fuss because it never mattered to you," I said. Another pause. Then, "Well, we just didn't think it was that important to you. You're not a kid anymore." That was it. Not an apology. Not even an ounce of guilt. Just the same dismissive shrug they'd always given me, dressed in polite words. I didn't yell. I didn't push. I just sat there, staring at the cruise confirmation email still open on my laptop. And in that moment, I made a decision. I hung up the phone and stared at the screen. The cruise was scheduled for that weekend. 2 full weeks of luxury. Flights were booked. Airport transfers arranged. I'd even paid extra for a wine tasting they kept gushing about from some travel documentary. It was all set. I could have let them go. I could have smiled through clenched teeth, handed over the tickets, and waited for the crumbs of gratitude I knew would never come. But something cracked inside me. So I logged into the travel agency's portal. The cancel button was right there. All I had to do was press it. One click, and the dream they'd carelessly handed over would disappear. My hand hovered over the mouse. Then I clicked. "Your reservation has been cancelled. A refund will be issued within 5 to 7 business days." That was it. No ceremony. No satisfaction, not yet. Just a sense of finality. They wouldn't find out immediately. Not until they were at the airport, grinning, thinking this was the trip they deserved. I sat back in my chair, staring at the confirmation screen like it was the last page of a chapter one never thought I'd close. And then I waited. It was exactly 2 hours later when my phone rang. Unknown number. Florida area code. I let it ring once, twice, 3 times. Then I answered. My mother's voice exploded through the receiver, already in mid-sentence. Don't understand, they're saying our tickets are gone. Cancelled. What is happening? In the background, I heard the unmistakable hum of an airport. Announcements, people talking, the hollow echo of a terminal. And then my father's voice, sharp, demanding, panicked. They said someone cancelled it. The reservation is gone. Just gone. I leaned back in my chair, calm. Finally calm. I cancelled them, I said simply. Dead silence. For a moment, I thought the line had dropped. Then, you what? My mom's voice had dropped half an octave. I cancelled the cruise, I repeated. I figured since you didn't think birthdays mattered, you wouldn't mind. Are you insane? My dad yelled. That was our anniversary trip. You knew how much we wanted this. I did, I said. I knew exactly how much you wanted it. That's why I booked it. More silence. Then my mom's voice, quiet now. You did this on purpose? I did, I said, with the kind of peace that only comes from truth laid bare. Because I was tired of pretending it didn't matter. That I didn't matter. And then I hung up. I didn't always feel this cold. I used to wait for them. Every year. That moment on my birthday when the phone would light up, or the door would swing open in surprise. Maybe they finally remembered. But the years had a way of whittling down hope. It wasn't one grand betrayal, it was death by 1,000 little silences. I remember my 14th birthday vividly, maybe because it was the first time I realized something was off. Mom had just baked a huge chocolate cake for Emily's straight-A report card the week before. Nathan got a new bike on his birthday that spring. Me? I got a reheated casserole and a distracted, "Oh right, it's today, isn't it?" I blew out the candle alone. One candle. Stuck in a slice of leftover cake from someone else's celebration. After that, the candles disappeared altogether. I stopped reminding them. Maybe part of me thought they'd realize on their own. But they didn't. Not at 16. Not at 18, when I graduated with honors but got a polite clap and a, "That's nice, dear." Not at 21, when I took myself out to dinner and toasted a glass of cheap champagne to no one. And still, some part of me kept trying. When they called for help, whether it was the mortgage, medical bills, or Emily's tuition shortfall, I gave without hesitation. When Dad's car broke down, I covered the repairs. When Mom mentioned needing a new oven, I had one delivered. I thought maybe if I showed up enough, they'd finally see me. They didn't. And still, I planned the cruise. They talked about it endlessly. The Greek Isles. The food, the sunsets. The laughter in their voices when they imagined it. I bought the tickets 6 months in advance. I coordinated with the cruise line to have a bottle of champagne in their suite. I even included a handwritten note. "For everything you've ever wanted but thought you'd never get. Happy anniversary." That envelope is probably still in some office now, unopened. When I told them over the phone I had cancelled it all, I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I said it the way you say goodbye to someone who's already halfway gone. Calm. Certain. Done. And then I put the phone on silent, turned off the lights, and sat in my apartment with a cupcake lit by one single candle. Just like the one when I was 14. But this time, it was enough. The calls didn't stop. After I hung up, they tried everything. They called again within minutes, first Mom, then Dad. Then both at once. I watched the screen light up like it was possessed, each new call another reminder that silence only mattered when it was theirs. When I didn't answer, the texts began. "Please call us. This is insane. We're at the airport. This is not okay. Your father is having chest pains. We'll never forget this, Jack." They'd forgotten 33 birthdays. I figured one cruise was fair. By the next morning, my inbox looked like a confession booth on fire. Long paragraphs filled with panic, desperation, and slowly anger. The guilt trip Olympics. "We thought you loved us," my mother wrote. "You're punishing us for a misunderstanding." She said that word, misunderstanding, like forgetting me every year was a typo. Like it wasn't deliberate. Like it didn't chip away at me year after year until I had nothing left to offer but withdrawal. And the best part? They still didn't ask why. Not once did they say, "We're sorry we forgot your birthday again." Not once did they mention the absence of a card, a message, a gesture. They just jumped straight to the part where I was the villain. It was kind of stunning, actually. The speed with which they rewrote the narrative. That weekend, Nathan called. I hadn't expected that. My brother and I weren't close, but we weren't enemies either. He said, "Look, man. I know they can be thoughtless. But a cruise? You seriously canceled it just to make a point?" I didn't answer immediately. I was looking at a drawer of old cards, ones I'd sent them for birthdays, anniversaries, even Father's Day. Signed with love, mailed with care. And never once reciprocated. "I didn't do it to make a point," I said finally. "I did it because they never noticed how close I was to breaking." Nathan sighed. "Still, it's pretty harsh." "Not as harsh as growing up invisible," I replied. He didn't have an answer to that. The silence after that conversation was different. It wasn't angry. It was heavy. The kind of silence that comes when someone finally sees the crack in the foundation and isn't sure how deep it goes. By Sunday evening, my parents had returned home. I knew because Mom posted a photo of their cat on Facebook with the caption, "Home. What a disaster. Some people are heartless." I didn't respond. I just took a screenshot, saved it in a folder I'd labeled proof. Not proof for anyone else, just me. A reminder that no matter how much I gave, I was always going to be the afterthought. The support beam that nobody sees until it snaps. But something changed after that week. Something subtle. My sister, who hadn't texted me in months, sent a message. Just 3 words. "You okay?" I didn't know how to respond. I wasn't okay. But for the first time in a long while, I wasn't crumbling either. I was standing. Alone, yes, but standing. And in that quiet strength, I found something better than their approval. I found clarity. It's strange how grief isn't always about death. Sometimes it's the slow erosion of things you hoped were true, beliefs about your family, about your worth, about the weight of love and what it should feel like. I spent most of my 20s convincing myself it wasn't personal. They were just busy. Stressed. Distracted. That they didn't mean to forget. That maybe, deep down, they loved me in a quieter way. The way that didn't show up in calendars or gifts or gestures. But then I'd see how they celebrated my siblings, and the excuses would crumble. When Emily got promoted, they threw her a garden party with catered food and a slideshow of her baby photos. When Nathan bought a house, Dad spent a week helping him paint every wall. And me? When I landed my dream job after years of grinding, I got a thumbs up emoji from my mom. No call. No. "We're proud of you." Just a cartoon hand. I swallowed it. Every time. I told myself love doesn't need to be loud. That maybe I was just different. Maybe I didn't need what they gave so freely to the others. But I did. I really, really did. And I thought the cruise would change that. Not in some fairy tale redemption kind of way, but maybe just enough for them to finally see me. See the effort. The intention. The son who never asked for anything, giving them something they dreamed of for decades. I imagined the moment in my head. I'd show up at their house with a little envelope. Hand it to them across the kitchen table. They'd open it, read the words, see the itinerary, and maybe their faces would change. Maybe they'd realize that I wasn't just the backup plan or the silent helper. That I had always been there, quietly hoping for connection. But they never gave me that moment. They forgot. Again. And I realized, mid-scroll through their accusatory texts, that they never would have noticed the gesture if I hadn't taken it away. They'd have gone on the cruise. posted sunset pictures. Called it a well-deserved escape. Maybe they'd even tell their friends it was a gift from our amazing son, without once connecting that it was me. That it came from a place of longing they never bothered to understand. After I canceled it, I went back through old photo albums. Not the family ones. They were always filled with Emily's award ceremonies, Nathan's soccer games. I had my own stash. Tucked away in a dusty box, mostly candid shots I took myself. One picture stuck with me. I was maybe 11, standing at my own birthday party. Alone in front of a cake. The candles were half melted, the frosting cracked. My mom's voice in the background of the video said, "Oh, we were going to do something nicer, but we just ran out of time." That sentence followed me for years. Every time something was missed or forgotten or dismissed, I'd hear it again. We just ran out of time. But I was the one who kept giving it to them. My time. My patience. My money. My effort. All of it, handed over like a tithe to a church that never really welcomed me. So when they returned home from the airport, furious, tired, humiliated, I didn't answer their calls. I didn't respond to their texts. I didn't send them an explanation. I let the silence stretch until it wrapped itself around them like the answer they never expected. Because for once, I wasn't going to be the one to fill in the blanks. Let them sit in the silence they'd always given me. Let them feel what it's like to be forgotten. 3 days after their return, the doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. Most people knew to text first. But when I opened the door, there they were, both of them. My mother's makeup was barely holding together. My father looked older, hunched, like the weight of what happened had finally settled on his back. But I didn't move. I didn't say hello. "Can we talk?" my mom asked. Her voice was low, uncertain. I stepped aside, not out of warmth, but because I wanted them to see how different the air felt in my space, quiet, measured mine. They sat on the edge of the couch like guests in a stranger's house. For a while, none of us said anything. Then my father, the man who always had a speech, cleared his throat. "What you did at the airport, that was cruel." I nodded slowly. "Noted. We were humiliated," my mother added. "We had to explain to the cruise staff that we had no tickets. People stared. We had to book last-minute flights back." I let her words hang in the air, waiting. Waiting for the sentence that never came. The one with "sorry" in it. But it didn't. Just like always, they skipped over the root and focused on the symptom. The pain wasn't in what they did, it was in how I reacted. "You didn't even try to call us back," Dad added, voice tighter now. "You blocked your own parents." "I did," I said. "Because I figured it was the only way you'd finally listen." Mom looked up, eyes glassy. "To what?" There it was. That moment. That question. And for the first time, I felt tired, not angry, not even cold. Just tired of being the one who had to spell it out. "To everything," I said. "To every forgotten birthday. To every time I watched you throw parties for Emily and Nathan while I sat alone with a cupcake and a plastic fork. To every time I helped with bills, or sent gifts, or showed up, and you didn't." "We didn't mean," she started. "I know," I interrupted. "That's the problem. You never meant to. You just did. Over and over." My father crossed his arms. "So what?" "This was about revenge." I leaned forward, voice steady. "No. It was about balance." They looked at me like I had spoken a foreign language. Because to them, love was supposed to be something you gave unconditionally. But they had never understood that neglect was a choice, too. That when you consistently forget someone, you're saying something louder than words ever could. They came to reclaim control. What they got instead was reality. I stood up. "You came here hoping I'd explain myself. Maybe even apologize for hurting your feelings. But the truth is, I don't owe you that." My mother's lip quivered. "We're still your parents. And I'm still your son," I said. "But that relationship comes with responsibility. If you ignore someone long enough, they stop showing up. You taught me that." They were silent. I didn't cancel your cruise to punish you, I added. I canceled it because for once, I wanted to know what it felt like to take something back. To have control over the story. Dad shook his head. So that's it. We just go. You can stay as long as you want, I said, opening the door. But the conversation is over. They stood, both of them looking smaller than when they'd arrived. My mom looked like she wanted to reach for me, to say something. But she didn't. Maybe she finally understood that there was nothing left to say. They walked out. I closed the door behind them. And for the first time in 33 years, it felt like it was my house. After they left, I stood at the window, watching them walk down the street. They hadn't driven, they took the bus. That alone told me something. They came here humbled, expecting to negotiate. But I didn't give them the performance they were hoping for. No anger, no tantrum. Just honesty. Cold and clean. Like steel. That night, I sat alone in my apartment, the cruise refund already back in my account, untouched. I didn't spend it. Didn't blow it on something impulsive. I didn't need to. Instead, I opened the small box I'd kept in the back of my closet for years, my own version of a time capsule. Inside were the birthday cards I'd written to myself. Yeah. I used to do that. When I was 16 and nobody remembered, I wrote one on a lined index card. Happy birthday, Jack. You're doing better than they see. Keep going. At 21, I used a nicer card, one I picked up at a bookstore. I wrote, This is the year you learn how to stop needing what they'll never give. I reread them all that night. And then I lit a candle, just one, and placed it in a slice of cake I had picked up earlier. Not out of sadness. Not as a replacement. But as a symbol. I was reclaiming it. My own birthday. My own story. And the strangest thing happened. I didn't feel alone. Because in that silence, in that stillness, I finally heard my own voice. Not theirs. Not the echoes of years past. Just mine. I didn't post anything online. I didn't tell my friends what had happened, though a few of them texted to check in. One friend, Melissa, sent a simple message. Thinking of you today. Hope you're treating yourself right. I replied. Yeah. I am. The next morning, something unexpected happened. An envelope slipped through the mail slot. No return address. Just my name on the front, in a familiar, tentative script. Inside was a birthday card. The kind you'd find in a grocery store, simple, a little cheesy. It read, We got it wrong. Too many times. You deserve better. Mom. I stared at it for a while. It didn't undo anything. It wasn't redemption. But it was something. I placed it gently on the shelf. Not out of forgiveness. But because even a broken clock is right twice a day. And even if I never hear those words again, I'll always remember that once, just once, they arrived on time. That night, I made a choice. I opened my calendar and clicked on a date 6 months away. I booked a solo trip. Just me. No one else. Not a cruise. Not something to prove anything to anyone. Just a quiet cabin by the lake. A place where I wouldn't have to fight for space. A place where I'd celebrate not being remembered, but finally remembering myself. I used to think silence meant being forgotten. But now I know, it can also mean freedom. I didn't get the birthday I wanted from them. But I gave myself the peace they never could. And that was the best gift I ever received.